Hi folks, this one's for people visiting Stamford Bridge. I've done all the hard work, you sit back and relax. If you're on Awayday going to Chelsea, it's coming up. Okay, Stamford Bridge. It is in West London on the Fulham Road. Postcode Sierra Whiskey 6-1 Hotel Sierra, and it's probably the most expensive piece of real estate in all of football clubs, considering where it is and the prices of property around there. With that in mind, there is a unique scenario here where they've got what's called the Chelsea Pitch Owners Association. They were organised to help keep the club where it is and fight off developers and people like that from trying to get hold of the land and turn it into something else. They actually own the rights to the pitch, the turnstiles and the naming rights, and that just gives them enough leverage to stop people coming in and forcing a buyout of the stadium or whatever, should the worst happen ever at Chelsea. The ground itself is around 42,000 in capacity, with accommodation for 3,000 away fans, usually for a league game. And the ground was opened in 1877 and was home to London Athletic Club until 1905, when it changed hands and the new owner, Gus Mears, founded Chelsea FC as we know it today, and they've occupied the ground ever since. The pitch is almost square at 113 metres long and 103 metres wide, but the goals are always the same size. Over the years, it's hosted all sorts of different sports, including cricket, both versions of rugby, for egg chasers, greyhound racing, speedway. It's another one to have American football there, and it's even hosted baseball games. It's been used as a neutral ground for different competitions, including the Charity Shield, and it's, from the outside, probably the strangest looking football ground. It doesn't look like a football ground, it looks like a block of flats, or several blocks of flats. If you've ever been there, you'll know, but yeah, just an interesting fact for those who haven't, and you're turning up and you're going, well, where's the football ground? It's right there. Travelling in, if you are driving, there's park and rides around the M25 area. Your best bet is to use those and tube in, whatever the options are. Depending on where you're coming from, depends on which one you'll use. For those driving in that don't want to use a park and rides and get closer, parking is very expensive and limited for traditional style car parks and things. The club have some. It costs a fortune and you have to be a member, I think, and stuff, so don't even try that. My old favourite, the good old park on the drive options, are brilliant for any London clubs, but the key to that is obviously getting on early and finding a bargain in the area in plenty of time before the game. If you're coming by train, you'll join the underground route at one of the main stations. You want to be heading to either Fulham Broadway or Earls Court. Earls Court's actually set up with away-friendly pubs, which is the most common destination on a match day. But the Putney Bridge area is also really handy for fans and welcomes away supporters. And if your supporters club's organised boat transfers from the city centre dropping at Putney Bridge, that's usually the best place to stay for drinks once you get off the boats. Don't know what I'm talking about with boat transfers? It's a great day out. Normally you'll find difficulty getting into places as a visiting supporter. Club together, hire a boat, £15 or £20 a person. You'll have a DJ, a bar for a few hours before the game, and it'll drop you within half an hour's walk of the stadium. It's a great option for a day out for the fans for clubs like Fulham and Chelsea and similar. So if you are coming into Earls Court, the first pub you'll probably come to, and the furthest one from the ground, only by a few hundred metres, is the Earls Court Tavern. It's a few minutes walk from the underground. It's a Green King pub, so one of the biggest chains in the country. And your what three words is Powder Cafe Bottom. Just down the road towards the stadium from there is the Prince of Tech. This is quite a good setup. It's got an upstairs area which is set up as a sports bar. You can go and watch earlier games or after the match. And just because of the setup, I'd recommend that one. Your what three words is Shakes Bath Clots. And then a little bit further down on another corner as you're heading towards the ground, you've got the Courtfield Tavern, also another Green King pub. It's quite big inside, has pavement drinking, plenty of staff, set up for visiting fans for match days, and your what three words are Event Music Glitz. If you've been using those, it's about a half an hour walk to the stadium from there, but give yourself plenty of time to get in because there's extra security at the stadium, which I'll talk about in a second. If you're coming into Fulham Broadway or you're on boat transfers, then there's quite a lot of options around Putney Bridge. The pub nearest the Putney Bridge tube station is the Eight Bells. That's on Fulham High Street with a what three words of Nobody Scam Scuba. And then on the corner of the main road, there's one that's always really popular, the King's Arms, and that's on the New King's Road. And your what three words is Half Locked Always. Every time I've been, it's heaving for Fulham or Chelsea. So if you don't like a crowd, go to one of the others nearby. Just across the road from there, you've actually got the Temperance with the what three words of Damp Remedy Then. And you should be able to see that just over the road. If the King's Arms is queuing to get in, just head over there. And failing that, if you go south from there, over the bridge, just over the river, 5-minute walk, you'll find a Wetherspoons called the Rocket. That's in Putney Wharf Tower. And your what three words is Weedy Castle Punchy. Hotels, there's not much point detailing specific hotels in London. There's hundreds. Just pick what suits you. My personal preference when I drop down to that area is a youth hostel chain called St Christopher's Inns. They've got one just opposite Hammersmith Tube Station, which is not far from where you need to be. It's a decent deal. You get continental breakfast included, and you get discounted drinks with your key card. But they are youth hostels. You will need a passport as ID to check in and stuff, and you will be bunking down with other people. Heading up to the ground from the Putney Bridge area, it's about 1.5 miles. It's going to take you a good 35-45 minutes. Fulham Broadway is just 2 stops on the District line heading north from Putney Bridge. It takes about 9 or 10 minutes, but make sure you give yourself plenty of time because there's going to be a lot of congestion both getting on and getting into the ground at the other end. I would give yourself half an hour to get in once you get there. The coach drop off is a few streets away on the south side of the stadium. It's handy for the away end obviously, but for away bars you're going to need to head back out to either the Ealrs Court area or the Putney Bridge. Failing that, going to the ground. It'll open 2 hours before kick-off on a weekend, 90 minutes on a midweek game, and get your lubrication and voice warmed up there. When you do get to the stadium, there is a holding area and checks to go through. If you're in the lowest tiers, you want to be in the left-hand lane. If you're in the upper, on the right-hand lane, you'll be heading for turnstiles 1 to 5 in the upper, 6 to 8 in the lower. They don't like bags and flags and stuff there, especially with sticks. They do permit some, but they're funny about what's on them and that, and they'll probably have to check, so bear that in mind. It might slow you down getting in as well. Your what 3 words for the turnstiles area is ruins reveal large, and after the game it gets really, really congested at either Earls Court or Fulham Broadway Tube Station if you're using those. Allow plenty of time. If you're booking trains out, give yourself a couple of hours after the game because it might take you an hour to get into the tube station. They have security and stewarding in place to organise entrance into the tube stations and restrict the flow so that they don't get overcrowded in there. Bear that in mind. The last time I went, I decided to walk to the next tube station on a different line. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Probably took me another 40 minutes, by which time I'd have probably been on the tube anyway, so I don't know, just wing it. If you can find a pub to have a drink in after the game, pop in there for an hour and give it time to die down a bit. Just before I finish, it is worth mentioning, pubs change, pub owners change, what they want to do changes, and they close quite often as well. So just check the comments for any updates. If there's anything new or wrong in there, I'm going to make sure it's covered in the comments there. And if you found this useful, give us a like. If you're ever going to go to any other away games, hit the subscribe button for notifications when I post guides for other clubs, and make it easy for you to find it next time. And all the social media stuff aside, if you like what you see, tell your friends. Cheers.